I'm Michael Hill with Canine Chronicle TV, and I am here virtually today with Doug Johnson and Jamie Hubbard of Clussexx Kennels. And they have two Clumber Spaniels with us today to teach us about the breed. We have a mother and her son. And let's start with talking about what the Clumber Spaniel is bred to do.
The Clumber Spaniel is a breed that was originally from France, and probably during the French Revolution was sent to England to protect the breed from extinction. And it was sent to an area called Clumber Park, and that's where they ended up taking their name. It's a breed that was developed and bred for an elderly statesman, someone in the aristocracy who would have them. They were basically bred to entertain the older gentlemen in the home who maybe didn't go out on a hunt but wanted to go and hunt. And so they took their little flock of Clumber Spaniels out who didn't roam the grounds as quickly or as with such a broad spectrum of space. They stayed closer, they worked tighter. So, you know, the older men would go out with gamesmen and with the Clumbers and have a recreational day. They weren't hunter-gatherers. They weren't dogs that were dependent on food. Families were dependent on their dogs for food. That they didn't have a Clumber. It was a different socioeconomic group that had the breed, and it was a different generation that dealt with the breed.
Got it.
And that's sort of their history in a nutshell.
Okay. And are they still used for that purpose?
I think they're still obviously worked in a recreational event that way. They do not excel at, they're not known for their speed and charisma. Now, a lot of people are having a great deal of success in the field with their Clumbers right now. They're really actually quite precise, and they do a good job of it. I've never done it. I know dogs that have done it, but I know that, this, again, it's not a breed that families who need to eat on the weekend are going to go out and use their dog.
So let's start and talk about these two dogs you have here. You said there's a mother and a son, and we'll just kind of go through them bit by bit from head to tail and talk about what you like and what you might change about each dog.
Okay, great. So this is a bitch, and it's kind of an interesting breed in that the dogs and bitches are entirely different. The dogs will carry all this feathering and rough, and the bitches just don't really ever carry that hand coat. She's been trimmed down just a little bit, but she would never carry that kind of like. I always refer to them as the milkmaids. These are robust, heavy-boned, round throughout spaniel girls who are, hardworking. So they're not elegant or sleek. They're round and voluminous everywhere. The proportions are very unique in this breed in that they're measured from 9 to 11. And it's 9 from the shoulder down, and then from the shoulder to the base of the tail is the 11. So you're talking about a dog who is significantly longer than they are tall. And that's one of the biggest problems in the breed today, is getting the dogs to be long cast and still low to the ground. It's very easy to Americanize breeds by raising them up, shortening their back, but they should be very long and deep. She's very deep. Her body is down here.
Oh, yeah.
It has this beautiful skirting, which is even better. But it's a deep breed. So they're low to the ground. 1/3 daylight, 2/3 body. Massive bone. So they have a big front and huge column of bone. And you can really see that on this dog here. He has a huge amount of bone. It's bone like you'll find in almost a working animal. It's large. And
right.
They have feet. And that's very important for the breed. And it's round bone. They're going to come down like every spaniel breed, clean through the shoulder, flat through the back area, a slight rise through the loin. and round down to the croup. The tail is set below the hip line, so it rounds gently down to the tail. And this breed standard allows for both a full tail or a dot. They should have short hocks, and that's another thing that's lacking in a lot of breeds today. A very long rib cage, a nice firm, arched over the loin, short loin, 2/3, 1/3 here. They don't have a huge long neck, but they have enough neck. Their head is the hallmark of the breed, and the dogs generally have big, beautiful heads. That's a no. We'll just use him for head.
Yeah.
So they have big, beautiful heads. They're flat on top, and they have lip that is pendulous. So this lip hangs down below the jawline, and that's desired. They have loose skin on their face. They're supposed to go through rhododendron, and it's not like the rhododendron that we have here in the United States. This is big, thick rhododendron with 4 and 5 inch long needles. So they need the play of skin throughout their body to protect themselves. It's an armor.
Oh, okay.
They grow a lot of hair through here. They grow hair through here, but this is a long top coat and would never be taken down. So oftentimes you'll see this move on a breed that rolls. It's a rolling gait. They have loose skin. So it's not a tight breed like you have in the springing spaniel. It's much looser. Its eye is unique. And they have a triangular eye or a diamond-shaped eyelid. So you see some paw will show, and that indicates that there's enough skin to do the function they're supposed to do. They have a marked stop and a medium-length muzzle. Generally, this line from the top of the muzzle to the lip is going to be longer than this line. That means he's got enough lip. And it's a very thick skin. They're heavy skin. They have a brow, which will protect their eyes when they go through the brush. So there should be some play here of skin. That's one of the things that I think is the most important about the breed is if you have a dog in your ring with no skin, it's valueless. They need to have that thick, heavy skin. And as breeders, we can get carried away with some exaggerations of type. And so I want to make sure that we don't get too much skin, and then you can have an excessive paw and show a lot of paw or too loose of an eye. But it is important to err on that end at a very tight eye, which would not be correct for the breed at all. The bitches are always going to have a little bit less than the boys. And you can see she still has a lot of skin. I think she's 5. And but she's not, they don't have the mass to their skull.
Sure.
Just doesn't
so you should definitely be able to tell the difference between a dog and a bitch without much effort.
Yeah, I think so. But I always, as breeders, we always love when there's a big doggy bitch. To me, that's so appealing because it's sort of a male trait-dominated breed. They have a big bone, massive body. And it's hard to get that in the female version. So when you do find that, we're always really excited by that. A big, strong doggy bitch.
Right.
They have a triangular shaped ear. It's not a lobe ear like an American Cocker would have. It's a triangle. So it's a little bit different and it's very thick. So it's a little shorter than you'll have in those other Spaniel breeds. Again, very long in rib, short loin, solid through here, a little bit of a rise here, and you can see how beautiful he is in croup, where he rounds down to his tail, moderately bent on both ends. But the big deal is that they're deep. So you never want to see a lot of daylight under this breed in the show ring. Today, you see more leg length in the breed than ever. It's very easy to breed a much taller version of this breed. And it's very, very, very incorrect. They should be.
It's the drag of the breed right now.
It is absolutely.
I mean, right now what we're seeing is dogs that have daylight up to here. And so they're much taller and much more airspace underneath here. And so the overall proportions and appearance is a much squarer dog. And typically those dogs also are the ones that also can fly around the ring. It's hunt, reach, and drive, which is not what this breed is supposed to do. They have a very distinct gait. So
Yeah.
a dog flying around the ring with huge reach and drive, you're probably going to find a dog that is more of the other springing spaniels than you are of a Clumber Spaniel.
Fascinating. So what is the breed-specific gait for this Clumber?
Well, they move at a moderate pace. And so, you know, we talk about the same breed standing as they are moving. And in Clumbers, it's just never really the case because there's a lot of undulating skin. And this hair, Mrs. Clark used to say this is like the spaniel shawl. And it's like a toupee that would flap in the wind. There's a lot of hair. And so this will move. And a dog that would have a back spot like this, you will see this move around the ring like that. And if you saw that in an English Cocker, or if you saw that in a Springer Spaniel, you would object to it because they would have too much loose skin. But this moves. I mean, he barely feels me doing this. And it moves throughout his whole body. And that's what you want. I mean, it's a looseness of skin. It's a play of skin that helps him perform and function the duty he was bred to do, which was to go into these big, deep hedgerows of rhododendron. So that's very important, and I think it's some degree and more readers to the breed don't know about that, and they think, well, that's just sloppy, you know. I've done this a long time. I like the slop. You know, I like a little bit of sloppy glop. Never hurt anybody. And the reality is that you need some excessive type to keep this type. Because if you lose it, you can't get it back. If you don't have those traits, you can't breed the dogs without it to get it. They either have it or they don't. And you know right away if they're going to have enough skin from their, you know, how the play of skin on their head is.
And how are they coming and going at you?
They converge towards the center line. And so it's a very basic reach in, drive, balance, but they do reach and converge towards the center midline. They don't single track, but they should converge in, just like you would want to see on anything else.
Right.
The uniqueness to their gait is the rolling skin.
So for people who are trying to learn this breed, what would you say some of the most important priorities to pay attention to? It sounds like the head, the rolling skin.
I think the proportion is actually the number one thing, Mike.
Okay.
That is, you should be able to stand on the other side of the ring and look up at a lineup of all the different spaniels, and this one should stick out because of its proportions. You know, Doug mentioned earlier about the fact that they're measured 9 to 11. They're measured 9 to 11 from wither to ground, wither to center of tail. So you've still got all this extra front and their butts behind that are in addition to the 11 long. So you've got a really long dog. The minute you change that proportion, you start to you start to veer towards other spaniel breeds. So that for us really is number one. You can go into the heads and skin and the mass, the roundness, the big round bone. They're all very important as well. But I think that proportion is number one.
Yeah, I think you have to, I think if you're a new person coming to the breed as a judge, you have to always want them long. So you start with that. Like Jamie says, that proportion, that silhouette is so important. With that, they have to also be low. Now, they have to have some lead so that they, can do their job, but they need to have elbow to ground short. It is 50%, but the body is deeper. So I like for people to think about 2/3 body, 1/3 daylight. The other thing is mass. It's voluminous over their body. So their ribbing is a round barrel. And you want to have a large, massive dog with a big, broad front. So, and she's a good example of how broad they can be. They have to be massive. So dogs that are slight or flat would not be appealing. And then the other challenge is to train yourself to realize that this movement through the back line of the flapping hair, the round roll to the skin, it's a shifting of weight from side to side. Those things are so important. And that's breed type. Those are defining characteristics. And you need to reward them when you see them because they're unique to get at. Generic, any type of generic type of white spaniel would never, ever, ever fly. It is a uniquely different spaniel breed.
Very distinct. And finally, let's talk about character and temperament. They're not the flashiest show dog, right?
Well, no, it's a much more sedate breed, so, they don't stand up, and I hate to see them free-baited. I think that free-baiting on a long line in the middle of the ring with a Clumber staring up is so atypical of the breed. They just don't do that. It would be like asking that of a mastiff.
Right.
It's very, very unusual that a breed with this kind of mass and body bulk can stand still for any length of time. You've seen them, they just move around and they shift their weight all the time.
Sure.
For a lot of dog in this short package, so they tend to fidget a bit. It's hard to just stand still because they're big and bulky, so it doesn't happen. So I don't like that. The breed character is fantastic. They are very outgoing. They're very friendly. They make wonderful house dogs and companions for people. They have nice temperaments. I think it's important, just as a side note, to know, they're 75 to 80 pounds. So if you have a dog in your ring that has a questionable temperament, that's a lot of dog to worry about. I wouldn't reward that. In Spaniels, Jamie and I are really good about no tail, no ridge. We think.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think that covers everything, and I think we're going to follow back up with some other breeds in the near future with you guys. So I thank you very much for your time with Canine Chronicle TV, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys soon.
All right, very good.
Thanks, Mark.